Yeah, I just watched Chris Hemsworth mow down a bunch of kids and not kill them, and I give him extra points for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, join me
good.
on the line. Such a great way to start.
Did you get that?
Yes, I did get that.
Oh, good.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining me on the line as he does every Friday on the show, he is from Cinemablend.com. His name is Mike Reyes, and he has finally seen the part of Extraction where Chris Hemsworth beats up street kids.
As an amateur street kid fighter, I say that I approve of this.
Oh, God. Okay, so real quick to start off with this week, Extraction 2, the trailer finally came out. It looks awesome. I really like the first Extraction with Chris Hemsworth. Mike, unfortunately, has not seen it, but I was telling him about this scene because you were saying there were some crazy scenes in the Extraction 2 trailer where he's like punching a guy and his hand's on fire and the treadmill scene and all this. And I'm like, have you seen the first one in the kids fight?
Yeah, and now I've seen the kids fight, and it's like clearly I now have a clear brief on what this franchise is about, and it's just Chris Hemsworth mowing down anything that's in his way for as long as the film runs. That's fine by me. Send that to me now. I saw that Extraction 2 is actually going to be doing a limited theatrical release. I think I'm going to go track this down.
Dude, it really is a good set of movies. Like, it's by no means, high drama or anything like that. But when I watched the first one the first time, it was like, this is kind of a modern day Commando.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It is in that style of movie where that was what sold back in the 80s, and it's sort of starting to come back where, yeah, story is good, but at the same time, if you can maintain that level of adrenaline and spectacle and like keep it going and keep me entertained, then I'm perfectly fine. There is no guilt in making a movie like this if you know what you're doing.
And the Russo brothers are really great at it. So if you haven't seen Extraction, see it now. I think it's still on Netflix. I forget when Extraction 2 comes out. I forgot to look at it. It's not as far away as we think, I believe.
I think 2 is out in limited theatrical June 9th and then goes to Netflix June 16th. I'm going to double check that just to be sure, but that's what I saw.
That's what I was doing. I was pulling up the clip. June 16th only on Russo brothers only on Netflix. Yeah, June 16th.
Yeah, so then June 9th is going to be the limited theatrical because they're still going into like indie chains and certain theaters that they're friends with. We're not quite at the level yet where AMC or any of the big three. Well, yeah. Actually, Cinemark might be showing it, but we're still not at the point where Netflix is rolling things out totally in theaters. And I think that's just a little more negotiation and a little more, some more talking is going to need to happen because clearly everybody got along for Knives Out, Glass Onion last year.
Such a good movie.
Oh, Glass Onion?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know what's really crazy about this? When Netflix does a movie right, they really do it right.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're really, listen, there's a lot of not great movies that they've put out, but when they get a movie right, they do it really good. And the Extraction is so good. So, anyways.
Well, that's just. Yeah.
Yeah, we could keep going on this, but we got other things to talk about. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com on the line with me right now. We can't dedicate a whole 30 minutes to Chris Hemsworth, although I did think of a question in there about Chris Hemsworth. Whatever happened to that Hulk Hogan movie he was supposed to be doing?
That's a good question because last I had heard he was getting into physical shape for it. He was prepping for it. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
Oh, wow. The last time there was something, it was Chris Hemsworth reveals status of Hulk Hogan movie, and that was from June 11th of 2022. So, anyways. All right, so let's get to the meat of the matter this week. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com. The big movie is one that we've seen 9 times before. We have another Fast and Furious movie this weekend.
Yeah, Fast X. Will be heading to a theater near you really soon, and I was lucky enough to go see it at the critic screening this week because, well, first of all, this is one of those movies where it kind of is like all hands on deck. If you go see this the night the first night it screens and you tweet, people will read it. That's something I've noticed. Fast X and Guardians, I went to both of them first screening invites that I got. And then those tweets actually did really well because everybody obviously wants to know and get in on the ground floor as to should I go see this or not. If you are a Fast and Furious fan, or even if you're just a Jason Momoa fan, don't delay, don't even think, just go. Just go. And even if you're not like a dyed-in-the-wool Jason Momoa fan, if you just like someone making their way through this movie that kind of treats itself seriously, but then they're just obviously having fun and like playing it for laughs, then this is your type of movie.
All right. Fast is one of those weird sets of movies to me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. It has not been consistent. We are at the 10th film of a continuity that is supposed to operate. This isn't like the old days of James Bond where it was mission of the day. This is 10 movies that have been in the same continuity.
Yeah. And this will come up a little bit later, but it's just whenever I see the trailer for this, I'm just like, I've seen this. I feel like I'm in I feel like this is the Oak Island of movies.
Oh, explain for the folks at home.
So Oak Island is a show on History Channel, and there's supposedly this treasure on this island. Long story short, it just feels like this same episode over and over again where they dig, they think they find something, they don't, and then they're like, well, I guess we got to go back and dig some more. I just feel like that's where we're at with Fast and Furious. They had a great exit, no pun intended, with the passing of Paul Walker and how they ended the one.
Yeah, Furious 7 would have been that would have been the most emotional, impactful ending. I do agree with you on that. And then they pushed their luck. And I like Fast 8, Fast 9, Fate of the Furious and Fast 9 were Fate of the Furious is the one that I was really disappointed in. And then Fast 9 was okay. Hobbs and Shaw I was definitely disappointed in. Now Fast X is kind of, it feels like they're getting back to being fun and owning their ridiculousness, and that's what I love about it.
Okay, so...
that is just Momoa, man. Momoa is the Joker in this movie, and he calls Vin Diesel Dommy at one point. He calls him Dommy, and I swear he is playing up like this man is going to now become a bisexual icon because of his outfits, because of how it almost feels like he's flirting with Dom. There's one scene where like a whole bunch of people pull guns on Dom, like in Fast 5, I think it was, in Brazil. And then he's just touching these guns in a way that it's like sexual.
Dude, stop. Stop.
And then it's just
Stop.
What?
No, I'm saying like Momo, like someone like I've got a gun on Momo and he's touching the gun. It's like, stop. Don't do that. Stop.
It's a power move. But no, it's the gun. No, the guns that are like pulled on Diesel. They're like through his arms, and then he's just touching them as they're trained on Vin Diesel, and it's like that. And then John Cena gets to have a lot of fun in here too, because now it's like he's not evil Cena anymore. He's super fun Uncle Cena. And it's like, you go to Fast X, and it's like, Dom, I have beef with you. I'm not going to stop going after you. And then, of course, he becomes family at the end.
Yeah.
That's how it works. But even this movie pokes fun at, like Momoa at one point is like, how do you save everyone when everyone is family? And it's like, okay, we know what we're doing. We're going to poke fun at that. And then, again, Cena is just like, you went from heel. It's like the face turn. He does a total face turn. It's like he is no longer heel. He is Kids' Choice Awards hosting John Cena.
Oh, it's awesome. Going back to Momoa for a second, I saw a thing. It's actually in Wikipedia. He was talking about it, and it must have come from an interview or something, but he said he had the desire to play against type when portraying Dante, taking on a less macho character, as he performed his own stunts for the film as well.
Yeah, one of our people was at a round table with Momoa, and he was talking about how some of the takes in the movie are like at a 4, and he has takes that are at a 5.
Oh, cool.
Or like a 10. And he's like, you know what? I'm kind of glad that they went and they went and did that they went with safer ones, but maybe I'll get to play a little more when we get to the next one, and maybe I'll get to drive more too.
Yeah, because was it Vin Diesel that came out and said something about that this may now be 3 movies or something?
Yeah. So it looks like there's been no confirmation yet. But when they did the premiere in Rome, Vin Diesel was talking with an interviewer, and he was like, when we were going in Fast X, the studio asked us, could you do 2 movies? And then when they saw what we were doing, they said, could you make 3? And then he kind of just left it at that. And like, you've got this interviewer who's standing there, and I forget the lady's name at this moment, but props to her, because not only does she have this really cool dress that had like Matchbox cars on it,
yeah,
but she knew what she had there, and just the surprise and the joy on her face. She's like, did that just happen? Is this, oh, wow. And it's like, I love moments like that. I love when interviewers get to just land on something so organic and so wonderful.
Vin Diesel in the Fast movies is kind of the opposite of what people usually do, where people are like, oh, I didn't want to get just booked into one role for my entire life or whatever, like David Tennant and Doctor Who, or the James Bond stuff, or a number of other characters. Vin Diesel's like, I will play Dom until the end of time.
Well, he's kind of I'm trying to remember which buddy of mine, I think it was my friend Matt Goldberg, was writing a column about that I still have to read, and he was basically saying, like, Vin Diesel's kind of trapped in this franchise. Like, not a lot of the other stuff that he's tried to do has taken off, and he's sort of, for lack of a better term, like, I think he said in his column, like, he's locked in the car.
Awesome. All right. Well, Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com. That's Fast X. See it in theaters this weekend. Over in the world of movie news and such, we had a ton of trailers come out this week. We already talked about Extraction 2, which, again, if you haven't seen Extraction, go see it. It is totally worth it just for the kid fight. Someone's going to hear just that part of this and be like, B-sox hates kids.
Totally
and
worth
right.
it for the kid fight. B-sox, KGTO.
I know, right? So,
put it on the poster.
Let's go to Mission Impossible 7. We got a new trailer for that this week. Again, this isn't kind of in the same realm as Fast X for me, where I see it and I'm like, I feel like I'm watching Oak Island. This is the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, and I know people hate that from me and really like these. You like the Mission Impossible movies a lot, right?
Yeah, I love them.
Like, I feel bad for saying it, but every time I see a trailer for it, I'm just like, I've seen this. How is this much different than any of the other ones where some kind of weird mission comes up, he has to get it. Oh, is there a double cross? Oh, I got to jump off a building or out of a plane or something.
Yeah, I guess they're okay.
They're making money, it's no big deal. All right, so we got the new trailer for it. Tell us a little bit about it, Mike.
So the big reason that I think the Mission Impossible movies have been especially intriguing, considering starting with, you could go as far back as Ghost Protocol, is that they're actually starting to tell a story. Like it sort of pulled a James Bond, where in the beginning it was mission of the day, and then it switched over to serialization, to episodic sort of. There is a story being told within the missions now.
Okay.
And in Dead Reckoning Part 1, and presumably Part 2, it looks like they are going back to the way beginning and bringing back actors and bringing back characters to possibly wrap up Ethan's story. And this is one of the biggest threats that we are facing at this point, with Isa Morales playing the lead villain. And you've got Pom Klementieff from Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Mantis, playing a villain who looks absolutely menacing, just tapping a sword on like a wall, and then apparently she just gets a lot of action in this movie with that sword. Yeah, it looks like these stakes are starting to raise to the point where not everybody may make it out alive in the end. And if this is the last 2 Ethan Hunt Mission Impossible movies, I'm excited to see how it ends. And Christopher McQuarrie and Tom Cruise clearly are on the same wavelength. Like I read a conversation where these dudes were sitting around and they're like, what do you want to do in this movie? And Tom's like, I want to jump off of a cliff on a motorbike. What do you want to do? And then Christopher McQuarrie's like, I want to wreck a train. They just go from there. And I have been with this from the ground floor since watching Mission Impossible on VHS, and I am very, very excited to see where this goes next. And one last thing I will say about the trailer, I still don't know what the threat in this movie is. We don't know character names for some of these people. This is a very secretive trailer while also showing a lot of really cool action. I like that. I like that this isn't a ruin everything trailer.
Going back before you got specific about like the motorbike, what he wanted to do, and the trade and all that, you could have applied what you said to any one of the Mission Impossible movies. Like the stakes of it and the... It's like if you would have said, okay, which movie is he talking about? No one would know.
Well, yeah, because that's a broad stroke.
Yeah, and that's what these movies are.
Characters. And... yeah, I guess they're okay.
Hey, guess what? We're going to talk about Star Trek here in a little bit. You're going to like it.
Fuck Star Trek. No, I am seriously only kidding with that, folks. And honestly, as much as I know you, I know you worry about this with me. You could talk to me about Star Trek anytime. I may not be totally caught up on it because it's been a while. But I love Star Trek. Yeah, I have no problem with Star Trek.
No, and you got scared there because you just figured out what you just said in public for people. So you backtracked that pretty quick.
I did it for a joke, and then the reason I put all that at the end is because you know the internet.
Yes, exactly. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com on the line with me. So if you're into Mission Impossible, this looks exactly like what you want it to be, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, Mission Impossible and Fast and Furious, the Fast Saga, it is basically broad tentpole for the fans.
Yeah.
And anyone else that wants to join in can join in. But I get it. I get that, it's just a lot of fun for me. But I do see your point where it's like if you tell someone, oh yeah, what happened in Ghost Protocol? What happened in Dead Reckoning? Like, unless you are a fan, if you're a common moviegoer, you may not remember that Ghost Protocol is the fourth one, and then Rogue Nation's after that, and then Fallout.
I've seen them, but I couldn't tell you which movie was which.
The one movie that everybody probably could name by heart, though, is Fallout, because that's where Henry Cavill has the shotgun arms.
Yeah. I know one. When I was younger, I really liked 2, and I liked the Metallica song in that. And the
I Disappear is a good song.
I remember 3, and then 4 on is where it starts getting a little foggy for me. And that's kind of the same thing as the Fast series, where it's after those 3, it kind of starts getting foggy to me, where I'm like, I don't remember this movie.
Some of the most confusing names ever, especially when Fast and Furious 6 is named Fast and Furious 6.
Yeah.
But then you watch the movie and I think it's called Furious 6 on a title card.
The one after Fast and Furious. They should do that sometime. Mission Impossible 8, the one after number 7. That reminds me of Hot Shots.
Yes. Oh, that is pure Abrams Brothers magic.
Oh, God. Anyways, another trailer that came out. This is in a completely different genre of what we've been talking about so far. Killers of the Flower Moon. This is a Leonardo DiCaprio is a part of this. And who's making that? It was someone big, right?
Martin Scorsese.
Yeah. I thought it was him, and I just watched it a little bit ago. And I was like, I think it's Martin Scorsese, but I can't remember, so I'm going to let Mike have the run on this. Looks good. His accent at the beginning's a little... Like, I felt like he was, hey, do this as a joke, Leo. Okay, and then he does it, but then they just go with it. His accent.
I think it's going to take a little getting used to because we're not used... It's going to take a little getting used to, but I don't think it's like... it's a choice. It is a choice.
Yeah, no, it totally is. And that was the first thing I noticed about the trailer. I'm like, wow, you've never heard him talk like this before. So, but
no.
This does not look like the feel-good movie of the year.
No, because as Wikipedia will tell you, its plot centers on a series of Oklahoma murders in the Osage Nation during the 1920s, committed after oil was discovered on tribal land.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be comfortable by the end of this one.
No, and it is. I think it is pushing 4 hours.
Holy shit! Really?
This is going to theater. Oh yeah. Oh, and I'm happy. I am excited for this. You know what? Martin Scorsese is one of those people that it's almost 4 hours if the 206-minute running time is to be believed. And this will be premiering at the Cannes Film Festival this weekend. The thing about Martin Scorsese, and I sat in a packed theater for The Irishman.
Yeah.
That is an experience I would do again. And that is what I'm going to do for Killers of the Flower Moon. This is basically a story that helps. Also tells like the title of the book is, it's a nonfiction book, Killers of the Flower Moon, the Osage Murders, and the Birth of the FBI. So obviously there's going to be a lot of ground to cover with, probably exploring the murders themselves as well as the FBI's sort of genesis around this. But you've got Martin Scorsese making this film. You've got a cast that includes Leonardo DiCaprio, Jesse Plemons, Lily Gladstone, Brendan Fraser, John Lithgow, Robert De Niro. Like, you've got this killer cast, people reuniting with Scorsese, and then just looking at this trailer, it looks stunning and dreadful, and I'm all for it. Again, Roger Ebert said no movie can be too long or too short, or it's something along those lines. Like, no movie can be too long or too short. It's basically the quote that I'm paraphrasing it here, but basically what he was saying is whatever length the movie is comfortable at, whatever needs to be done to tell the story.
Yeah, no, I get it. That was a very George Bush, fool me once. Yeah.
Shame on you. Fool me twice, won't get fooled again.
Oh, so, all right. Well, we'll keep our eye on this. So that comes out or is premiering this weekend, and then it'll probably drop later on, right?
Premiering this weekend in Cannes. It should be in limited theatrical October 6th, a wide release on October 20th, because the really funny thing about this was Paramount Pictures originally had the project, and then they shopped it off to Apple. And I guess everybody thought that it was going to be like a streaming exclusive, like Irishman, like it had, because that was Netflix. It was like a limited, like a week or so in theaters, and then, the whole thing that they've been doing.
Yeah.
But now it says at the end of the trailer, exclusively in theaters. So it's going to do a more traditional release, and I'm thinking that'll put it into more theaters. Like, this is another sort of pivotal turning point in streaming movies getting more theatrical play. And I am also here for that. Because, again, streamers are taking chances on some of these movies that other big studios aren't. And it's a shame that Army of the Dead didn't get a full theatrical release. And that was another one. Zack Snyder had that set up at Warner Brothers. Netflix took it over. And then it got the widest reach a Netflix movie had, but it could have done more.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see what happens with it. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com on the line with me right now. As we get towards the end here, one of the other trailers that came out this week, it just kind of looks like a cool sci-fi, especially just the special effects. But The Creator, we got our first look at that.
This was a good week for trailers.
Yeah, it was.
And The Creator just dropping out of nowhere proved it. And part of the reason why I am excited for this is, you know who's directing it, right?
No, I don't.
Gareth Edwards, a man who not only did the 2014 Godzilla reboot, but more importantly, he was the director of Rogue One.
Really?
Yeah. And he co-wrote this movie with one of his Rogue One directors. Although, from what I understand, a lot of the editing that went on behind the scenes was more Tony Gilroy's. He kind of took over the project for Rogue One.
Okay.
And sort of reshaped it. But Gareth Edwards, there's parts of this, there's effects, there's locations, and there's even shots in this that look like he's still scratching that Rogue One itch.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a way that he's ripping anything off. I just mean that clearly his fingerprints of, like, design are still all over that other movie. And I love the style that his team has with these sorts of movies. And the best way to sum up the plot is, what if The Mandalorian was protecting Skynet?
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is, John David Washington plays Joshua. He's an elite soldier who's sent on a mission to destroy an AI that's supposedly creating something that could destroy humanity. And this is all 10 years after this AI dropped a nuke on Los Angeles. So again, very Skynet in that respect. But then he finds out that this AI is in the body of like a cyborg kid.
Yeah.
And then he decides to protect it.
No, it looks cool, and it looks very sci-fi. Everything from the weapons to the clothes to the sets and the cyborg people. It just looks really sci-fi. And I'm trying to think. There's not Blade Runner, but kind of in that realm.
Oh yeah, there's definitely Blade Runner. There's like AI, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Like the back of the AI's heads where they're sort of like uncovered. that just reminded me of like the broken robots and AI.
Yeah,
And
it looked familiar for some reason, but I couldn't place it.
It has a visual style, period. Like one of the complaints of modern moviegoers is like some movies aren't colorful enough or aren't like cool enough in their design. This thing has style to spare, and I love the fact that this, again, it's the old compliment of, this isn't based off of anything. This isn't based off of a comic book or a novel or a series of movies that we've already seen. It may borrow influences from those, but then again, so did those other movies. Star Wars borrowed influences from Flash Gordon and Akira Kurosawa and The Hero's Journey. And this is like this is an original project that borrows from influences, but also just looks wonderful. Like there's even sort of a District 9 feel to some of the designs here.
So,
and then you've even got that quick shot of Allison Janney holding a gun. And it's like, I love when actors you would least expect get in on the action. So we're going to get to see Allison Janney firing off a gun. Cool. And Ken Watanabe is in here, and that's someone I don't think we've seen in a while, and I'm so glad to see him back at it.
Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com on the line with me right now. That's the creator, and I believe that's coming out
September 29th.
Okay, cool. We'll be looking forward to that one. As we get towards the tail end of things this week, just a couple quick hits and just funny type things. For your court-ordered Star Trek talk of the week,
that is not court-appointed. You take that back.
Well, it feels like we've been talking about Star Trek a lot since Picard came out, but kind of a cool
things are happening.
Kind of a cool thing that was announced, I believe it was last year. They were going to be doing a crossover episode between Star Trek Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks, which is a real-life Star Trek flesh and blood show and then an animated show.
Which is the thing that really excites me, because you rarely see that sort of thing, but I guess Star Wars kind of started to do that, because now we're starting to see those characters from like the Clone Wars become flesh and blood. We saw Ahsoka Tano, Harrison Dula's coming, but it's still odd that Star Trek is doing that.
And we don't know what the form of this is going to be, but we got a single shot. This week there was some trailer, and I have not been able to track it down because every time I've seen someone have a link to it or whatever, the video is shut down.
Huh.
But it's like a 2-second clip of a transporter pad. Captain Pike is on there, one of his other people, and then the real-life voice actors of Mariner and Boiler from Lower Decks, they're actual people in their Star Trek Lower Decks uniforms on Strange New Worlds.
Huh.
And that's
another thing I really like.
Yeah,
they got the voice actors to do it.
I wish there was more to this, but that's all we got, and I haven't been able to find it to see it. But other than the screenshot that one or two people have taken and it's kind of floated around, but it should be interesting how they go, because I still think Lower Decks is some of the best Star Trek that's out there right now.
From what I've seen of it, yeah. I remember first hearing about the concept, and it's like, cool, we get Archer in the Star Trek world. That's basically the concept that I was going in with. And then a friend of mine shows me a couple episodes, and some gags, that's totally what you're getting. Like the Clippy from Microsoft parody with the Star Trek, with the Starfleet insignia. I forget the name of it. Was it Badgie? Badgie is one of those things where it's like totally Archer and Star Trek energy. But then you watch an episode like where they go to the theme park, and they're paying such wonderful tribute to First Contact, like with the theme and with James Cromwell reprising Zephram Cochrane. There's just this warm blanket to it where it's like we're telling jokes in this universe, but we're not joking on the universe. There's still a love and care to Star Trek. It's not, let's tear apart Star Trek and, make fun of every nook and cranny like Rick and Morty kind of does with, like the whole thing with Rick and Morty was it was like Back to the Future getting basically roasted.
Yeah.
And that's not what's going on here. This is done from a place of love and from a place of genuine humor. So you get to love the characters. You get to love the jokes.
The first season of Lower Decks wasn't great because I feel like, to me, it was one of those things where they didn't know when to end the joke, if that makes sense. They just kind of kept going with it, and they kind of beat it into the ground. And then the second season came around, and I fell in love with that show. I really did. And the third season was really good. And listen, I don't know what this Strange New Worlds crossover is going to look like, but it should be a lot of fun. And I believe Strange New Worlds is coming out in June. And I believe that episode should happen fairly early on, but I'm not for sure.
Well, what you were just mentioning about Lower Decks, that's also why it's important to actually, let your shows run for more than a season. Because you kind of have to have faith in an idea and nurture it along the way. And just, especially in the world of streaming, there's so many shows that can get canceled after a season because there's the numbers aren't there and there's no faith. And I could just imagine if this didn't have Star Trek on its title, I wonder how long it would have lasted, been given the chance to breathe.
Somebody said that about Picard. They're like, the first two seasons of Next Generation wasn't great, and then the third season was. It's kind of the same thing as Picard.
Yeah, you gotta let things run. You've got to experiment. You're not, especially if it's a new property, you're not just gonna get it right automatically.
So,
and I get it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with this. I'm really interested to see how they do it. And really, of all the Star Trek captains, I think Pike is actually the one that I would... that or Riker, who's already been on Lower Decks. He's the one that I think could fit in this world.
Oh, what, Riker?
Riker was in Lower Decks.
Oh, I thought I'd heard that. But he definitely... Jonathan Frakes, man. He definitely fits that because that's always been part of his delivery, but that's also always been part of the character. Like, Riker is a stand-up officer, but he's not a stuffed shirt.
I love there's a line, and he's getting ready to go to warp, and he goes, warp in the factor of 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah. When they're allowed to, that whole next-gen crew lets loose like that.
There's what you say that there is, because there's even a line with Patrick Stewart where he shows up to Shaw's thing, and he goes, yes, you are a dip from Chicago.
Stewart especially. I still remember having my mind blown between the Next Gen cast guesting on Family Guy and then him starting his role in American Dad as Bullet.
Well,
and the whole thing was just, you remember the stories of when they were all starting to do Next Gen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just Patrick Stewart was still very much in the classically trained mindset. And then eventually he let loose and he bonded with his family on set. And then just the work followed.
I always think it's fun that he's a big fan of Beavis and Butthead.
That too. So. I love that.
You know what I'm still disappointed though, and I wish Paramount would figure out a way to do it. I want Ian McKellen
get him on the show.
Ian McKellen on Star Trek.
Oh, that would be really cool, especially because you could. You might be able to bring him on as another Q.
A Q, an enemy of Picard, or a friend of Picard, or an admiral, or the president of the Federation, or something. But I need scenes in the Star Trek world with Picard and Ian as whatever character.
Yeah, there could never be enough Patrick Stewart and Sir Ian McKellen material in the world.
No, absolutely not. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com on the line with me. As we do wrap up this week, just for fun, we wanted to talk about the Legend of The Legend of Zelda and Tears of the Kingdom. It's the new Legend of Zelda game. It's been released already, but it's been causing a stir on TikTok and social media in general, and we just wanted to joke about it because we were talking about it beforehand. But the amount of penises and shots of Pura I've seen on social media lately is pretty crazy. I don't know anything about the game. Put that out there first.
Yeah, this is kind of a side effect of whenever you give anybody some sort of creation tools to use in a game, because I'm sure there was something in Fortnite that got everybody to do this same sort of thing. I don't know if it'll probably get old someday, but today is not that day.
No, it's really not. Entertainment-wise, it's just funny. I haven't played a Legend of Zelda game since the Wii one, Twilight Princess, I believe it was.
Yeah, I think that was the one for the Wii. Yeah,
But
wait, that might have been redone for the Wii. I forget.
this is set after Breath of the Wild. It's kind of a sequel to Breath of the Wild. Boy, it looks like a beautiful game and like a lot of fun. I mean, you can make penises that shoot fire out of it, so it must be somewhat fun.
Yeah, I mean, clearly people are being entertained by it, and it's doing things. So
Clearly, it's
yeah.
entertaining.
Clearly, people are finding something to seize on. It is a product of the zeitgeist.
Yes.
But then again, you Sony PlayStation people wouldn't understand that. Plebs.
So Breath of the Wild came out 2017. Then there was Link's Awakening, Skyward Sword, and now Tears of the Kingdom. And like I said, I think the last one I played was Twilight Princess, and that was 2006. Holy shit, that's been a long time ago.
Cue the gif of Saving Private Ryan, Matt Damon morphing into the old man.
Yeah, really. I've
had those moments too.
Ocarina of Time is still probably my favorite one, and that was 1998. So
There's so much Zelda. I just need to dig in and play. Like one of these days, I'm probably going to piss off my management and just take off a month, catch up on so much pop culture, and then come back and say, okay, so I got ideas on this, and this. I mean, I'm not really going to do that, but what I'd more realistically probably do is just try to find more time in my spare time to sort of dig into games like this or books and stuff and just really.
The game I'm playing, I just don't have. Well, my kid has a Switch now, so theoretically I could play this. I bet. So I might be going and buying that. But right now I'm in the middle of Jedi Survivor, so which is really a lot of fun so far. And yes, I'm playing it on there's like 4 levels you can play it on, and I'm playing it on not the easiest, but the next easiest.
I'm not going to shame someone for playing it on a difficulty that you can actually finish the game on. I am not one of those people.
I just want, like, I think it's, like, I don't usually play games for the story part of it. But I'll tell you what, Jedi, the 2 games with Cal Kestis are some of the best Star Wars stories that I've had in a while. They're better than any of the movies that have come out lately.
I love finding things like that. And for a little while, it was like TV. Well, what I've seen of Andor so far kind of makes me think that same way. I still need to finish Andor.
Gave up on Andor after an episode and a half.
I didn't give up. Oh, you gave up?
Oh, totally gave up. Totally gave up.
Well, you got to let a story cook, man. Come on.
Yeah, I know. I think it may have been part of the mood I was in at the time, so I wasn't in the greatest of moods, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, this is so boring.
Yeah, I get that. It is very, I think that's part of why I want to stay with it, is because it is very slow and atypical of Star Wars, and I want that. I hear it gets really fired up towards the end, and that's kind of what happened with Rogue One.
Yeah.
Rogue One starts off very shaky, and I remember sort of like, and then it validates itself.
Yeah.
By the time you get to the end of that, it's like, okay, I understand why you did what you did, and you made such a spectacular landing out of this.
I still think Rogue One's one of the best Star Wars movies, so
yes,
fight me on it.
Yes. I will fight with you on that.
Yeah.
I will be square up shoulder to shoulder with you and defend it.
I mean, if you're going to do a movie without the Jedi or a story without the Jedi, that's how you do it. Is that movie.
And it was the Dirty Dozen. It was a Star Wars like war movie.
Yeah.
I want that. I want more of that. And that's also why I loved Solo.
Sorry, I just saw a trailer for something pop up since we were talking about video games. Mortal Kombat 1 official announcement trailer from IGN.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. And so basically what it sounds like is, I'm so rusty on my Mortal Kombat. I haven't really played the last couple games.
Okay.
But my youngest brother has been sharing the clips with, we have a brothers chat on Instagram.
Yeah.
And he's been sharing the little teases that they've been throwing out where it was showing a clock and it was set to 11, which was like the last one was Mortal Kombat 11. But then the clock jumps over 12 and goes to 1. And then we're saying, well, is it like a remake? That sounds like what they're doing. And then the trailer comes out. I don't know if it's Shao Kahn or who did it, but someone in the Mortal Kombat series basically wiped the slate clean back to 1. And
really?
Now he's like, okay, you guys can live in peace and accept this new world that I've given us, or we can go back to fighting. I'll give you 2 guesses as to what happens, and I'm excited for it. I am excited for it because so many games are doing remakes and remasters, and like Call of Duty is probably one of the best examples of what this is, where it's like, oh, Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2. Oh, like the ones you made before? No, these are like reimaginings, but they're the same titles.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, you've got this game, Mortal Kombat 1. They literally call it Mortal Kombat 1, and it has a purpose to be called Mortal Kombat 1, and I like that.
Oh, holy, I just saw some of the kills on this.
Yeah, if you thought that Quentin Tarantino believed people were mostly made of blood and skin, then yeah, you're definitely going to want to see Mortal Kombat 1's trailer, because that's exactly it.
All right, let's do it. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joins me every Friday on the show to talk about movie. It's in our blood. It's coming out September 19th, it looks like, so very cool stuff. Mike, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, live long and prosper, my friend.
Boy, coming out of Mortal Kombat, I don't know if live long and prosper is the way I would have gone.
Finish him?
Brutality?
Babality?
Friendship.